The night air was cool against my skin as I stood at the edge of the community pool, the closed sign clearly visible in the dim glow of the security lights. I shouldn't have been there, but Liam's text had been impossible to resist. Meet me at the pool at midnight. Trust me, it'll be worth it. That was Liam for you, spontaneous, fearless, and completely irresistible. I'd known him since freshman year of college, and somehow, he always managed to pull me out of my comfort zone. I'm Ethan, by the way. The cautious one. The planner. The one who triple checks that doors are locked and alarms are set. But around Liam, those parts of me seemed to fade away, replaced by someone braver, someone willing to take risks. I checked my phone, 11:58 p.m. My heart raced as I scanned the area for any sign of security. The pool area was surrounded by tall hedges, creating a secluded oasis that felt removed from the rest of the world. The moonlight cast silver ripples across the water's surface, making it look almost magical. I heard footsteps behind me and turned to see Liam approaching, that familiar mischievous grin lighting up his face. "You actually came," he said, sounding genuinely surprised. "I thought Mr. Play-by-the-Rules might chicken out." "I almost did," I admitted, watching as he casually hopped the fence like he'd done it 100 times before. Maybe he had. "How do you know we won't get caught?" Liam landed gracefully on the other side and reached up to help me over. "The night guard takes his break from midnight to 1. I've been watching the pattern for weeks. We have the place completely to ourselves." His hand remained on mine a moment longer than necessary, and I felt that familiar flutter in my stomach that I'd been trying to ignore for months. Let me explain why this pool meant so much to us. During the day, it was crowded with families, screaming children, and watchful lifeguards. But at night, it transformed into something else entirely, a private world where we could be completely ourselves. For two college seniors trying to figure out what came next in life, this stolen hour felt like a precious gift. "Come on," Liam said, already pulling his t-shirt over his head. The moonlight traced the contours of his shoulders, and I quickly looked away. "The water's perfect this time of night." I hesitated, my fingers at the hem of my shirt. "We don't have swimsuits." Liam laughed. "Boxers work just fine, unless you're planning to skinny dip." He raised an eyebrow, challenging me. "Very funny," I muttered, slowly removing my shirt and jeans until I stood in just my boxers. The night air raised goosebumps on my skin, or maybe it was the way Liam's eyes briefly traveled over me before he turned and dove into the deep end with barely a splash. His head emerged from the water, droplets catching the moonlight like tiny diamonds. "It feels amazing. Get in here, Ethan." Taking a deep breath, I jumped in, the cool water enveloping me in its embrace. The sensation was incredible, refreshing and exhilarating all at once. When I surfaced, Liam was right there, his face alight with joy. "Told you it would be worth it," he said softly. We swam lazy laps at first, our voices kept low despite knowing we were alone. There was something intimate about whispering in the darkness, our words carrying across the water between us. We talked about graduation looming just months away, about job interviews and graduate school applications, about all the possibilities that lay ahead of us. "Race you to the other end?" Liam challenged suddenly, breaking the contemplative mood. Before I could answer, he was off, cutting through the water with powerful strokes. I followed, pushing myself to catch up. He beat me easily, as he always did. Liam had been on the swim team in high school, and his technique was flawless. I reached the wall seconds after him, breathing hard. "No fair," I gasped. "You got a head start." Liam splashed water in my face playfully. "Excuses, excuses. Want me to show you how to improve your stroke?" I nodded, not trusting my voice. The idea of Liam's hands on me, even in the most innocent context, made my pulse quicken. "Okay, let's try the backstroke first," he said, "all business now. Float on your back." I did as instructed, letting my body rise to the surface, staring up at the star-filled sky above us. The position made me feel vulnerable, exposed. I could hear Liam moving through the water toward me. "Your form is too tense," he said, his voice closer now. "You need to relax more." And then his hands were on my shoulders, gently adjusting my position. "Let the water support you." I tried to focus on his instructions rather than the warmth of his touch against my cool skin. His hands moved to my arms, guiding them through the proper motion. "Like this," he demonstrated, his fingers wrapped around my wrists, pulling them through the water in a smooth arc. I don't think I'm getting it, I said, partly because I wanted his guidance to continue. Let's try something else, Liam suggested. How about underwater swimming? You've always struggled with holding your breath long enough. I had to admit he was right. I'd never been comfortable staying underwater for extended periods. Something about the pressure, the disorientation, the feeling of being cut off from air, it made me anxious. I'll guide you, Liam promised, his eyes serious now. Do you trust me? Yes, I answered without hesitation, because despite all his wild ideas and impulsive decisions, I did trust him completely. Take a deep breath, he instructed. When you're ready, we'll go under together. I'll hold your hand the whole time. I filled my lungs with air and nodded. Liam's fingers intertwined with mine, warm and reassuring. Together, we submerged into the blue world below. Underwater, everything changed. Sounds became muffled, movements slowed, and the boundaries between us seemed to dissolve. Liam's face was close to mine, his features softened by the rippling water. He squeezed my hand and smiled, bubbles escaping from the corners of his mouth. I smiled back, feeling strangely peaceful despite my usual discomfort. He tugged gently on my hand, pulling me deeper, guiding me through the water. We glided together in slow motion, and I was acutely aware of every point of contact between us. Our intertwined fingers, the occasional brush of his leg against mine. When I gestured that I needed air, he nodded and we surfaced together, both gasping slightly. That was amazing, I admitted, surprised by how long I'd managed to stay under. You did great, Liam said, still holding my hand. Neither of us mentioned this continued contact, as if acknowledging it might break whatever spell had fallen over us. Want to try again? This time, let me show you how to move more efficiently underwater. I nodded, and we took another deep breath together. This time when we submerged, Liam positioned himself behind me, his chest against my back, his arms extending along mine. His hands guided mine through the water, showing me how to pull and push with maximum effect and minimum effort. I could feel his heartbeat against my spine, strong and slightly faster than normal. Or maybe that was my own heart I was feeling. We moved through the water like this, his body directing mine, teaching without words. In that moment, I understood why people described swimming as flying. With Liam guiding me, I felt weightless, free, capable of things I hadn't believed possible before. When we surfaced again, we were both breathing harder, and not just from holding our breath. Something had shifted between us, something fundamental and irreversible. We floated face to face, closer than friends typically would be. Ethan, Liam said softly, his voice different somehow. There's something I've wanted to tell you for a long time. My heart hammered against my ribs. What is it? Before he could answer, a beam of light swept across the far end of the pool. We froze, then quickly moved to the shadow of the diving board. Security, Liam whispered, his mouth close to my ear. I thought he'd be on break longer. We pressed ourselves against the pool wall, hardly daring to breathe as the security guard made a cursory sweep of the area. In those tense moments, Liam's arm wrapped protectively around my waist, holding me close to him. I could feel the rapid rise and fall of his chest against my back. After what seemed like an eternity, the light disappeared, and we heard the distant sound of a door closing. We waited another minute to be sure, then both exhaled in relief. That was close, I whispered, turning to face him in the darkness. Too close, he agreed, but made no move to put distance between us. If anything, he seemed to draw me closer. But I meant what I was about to say, which was, my voice came out shakier than I intended. Instead of answering with words, Liam gently placed his hand on my cheek. His eyes asked a question, waiting for my response. I gave the slightest nod, and then his lips were on mine, tentative at first, then more confident as I responded. The kiss was everything I had imagined and nothing like I expected, warm despite the cool water surrounding us, both familiar and thrillingly new. When we parted, Liam rested his forehead against mine. I've wanted to do that since sophomore year, he confessed. Why didn't you? I asked, my fingers tracing patterns on his shoulder, marveling at the permission I now had to touch him this way. I was scared, he admitted, and the vulnerability in his voice surprised me. Liam, who jumped fences and broke rules without a second thought, had been afraid of this, of us. You're my best friend, Ethan. I couldn't bear the thought of ruining that. I understood his fear because I had felt it too. that paralyzing worry that acting on my feelings might destroy the most important relationship in my life. So what changed? Liam's fingers intertwined with mine underwater. Graduation is coming. The thought of us possibly going our separate ways without ever knowing what this could be. He shook his head. I couldn't live with that regret. We floated there together, the reality of our changing relationship settling around us like the gentle ripples in the water. There were practical considerations, of course. What would this mean for our friendship? How would our social circle react? What if one of us got a job offer across the country? But in that moment, those questions seemed distant and unimportant compared to the simple truth of being together. Let's go underwater again, I suggested, suddenly wanting to return to that silent world where it had been just the two of us, free from complications. Liam smiled, understanding what I needed. We took deep breaths and submerged together, our hands still connected. Underwater, he pulled me close and kissed me again. There was something profoundly intimate about sharing breath like this, suspended in blue silence. When we eventually needed air, we rose to the surface together. I never thought I'd like being underwater so much, I said, blinking water from my eyes. Liam laughed softly. See what you've been missing by playing it safe all these years. His words carried more meaning than just our midnight swim, and we both knew it. I had always been the cautious one, carefully weighing risks and consequences. Liam had been trying to show me another way to live, more open, more willing to embrace the unknown. Maybe you're right, I conceded. Maybe I have been missing out. We swam lazily after that, sometimes racing, sometimes floating side by side, our fingers occasionally brushing together. We talked about everything and nothing, classes, memories, dreams for the future. But now there was a new dimension to our conversations, an unspoken question about where we would go from here. Do you remember when we first met? Liam asked as we sat on the edge of the pool, our feet dangling in the water. Freshman orientation, I recalled, smiling at the memory. You were late to the campus tour, and you asked to share my map. And you were so organized, with your color-coded schedule and your highlighted campus map, Liam teased, nudging my shoulder with his. I thought you were the most uptight person I'd ever met. And I thought you were the most disorganized, I countered. You didn't even have a pen. Yet somehow we became friends, Liam mused. More than friends now, I said quietly, testing how the words felt. Liam's hand found mine between us. More than friends, he agreed, and the simple confirmation sent warmth spreading through my chest. The digital display on my water-resistant watch showed 12:52 a.m. Our stolen time was almost up. As if reading my thoughts, Liam sighed. We should probably go soon, he said reluctantly. The guard will be back on his rounds. I nodded, but neither of us moved to leave. The thought of returning to the real world, where our relationship would have to be defined and explained, seemed daunting after the perfect simplicity of our midnight swim. What happens tomorrow? I finally asked, voicing the question that had been hovering between us. Liam turned to face me fully, his expression serious in the moonlight. Whatever we want to happen. We can take it slow, figure things out day by day. He squeezed my hand. All I know is that I don't want to pretend tonight didn't change everything. Relief washed over me. I don't want to pretend either. We reluctantly pulled ourselves out of the pool and gathered our scattered clothes. As we dressed in comfortable silence, I couldn't help but marvel at how different I felt from just an hour ago. It wasn't just about Liam and me crossing the line from friendship to something more. It was about discovering a part of myself I had kept submerged for too long, the part that could take risks, that could dive into deep water without knowing what waited below. Before we left, Liam pulled me close one more time, his damp hair tickling my forehead as he leaned in. Thank you for coming tonight, he whispered. For trusting me. Thank you for showing me how to swim underwater, I replied, the words carrying our private meaning. We scaled the fence together and walked back toward our dormitory, our shoulders brushing, our wet hair dripping onto our t-shirts. The campus was silent around us, everyone else asleep while we carried our secret like a precious, fragile thing between us. At my door, Liam hesitated. Would it be too much if I asked to stay with you tonight? Just to sleep, he clarified quickly. I'm not ready for this night to end. Instead of answering, I simply opened my door and pulled him inside. We fell asleep in my narrow dorm bed, still slightly damp from the pool, Liam's arm draped over my waist and his breath warm against the back of my neck. In the morning, I woke first, momentarily disoriented by the weight of another person beside me. Then the memories of the previous night came flooding back. The midnight swim, Liam's hands guiding mine underwater, our first kiss beneath the surface. I turned carefully to look at him, still asleep, his features relaxed and vulnerable in the early light. This was just the beginning, I realized. Like learning to swim underwater, this relationship would require trust, courage, and the willingness to venture into the unknown. There would be moments when we'd need to surface for air, when the pressure might feel too intense. But I knew with absolute certainty that I wanted to dive deeper with Liam, to explore all the uncharted waters that lay ahead of us. As if sensing my thoughts, Liam's eyes fluttered open. He smiled sleepily, reaching out to brush a strand of hair from my forehead. "Morning," he murmured. "So it wasn't just a dream." "Not a dream," I confirmed, leaning forward to kiss him softly. "Though the pool at midnight might have to become our tradition." Liam's smile widened. "I think that can be arranged." His expression grew more serious. "Are you okay? With all of this, I mean." I considered the question carefully. Was I okay with the uncertainty, with the potential complications, with the fundamental shift in our relationship? I thought about the feeling of being underwater with him, that moment of perfect trust and connection. "More than okay," I answered honestly. "I'm ready to dive in." Outside my window, the campus was coming to life, students heading to early classes, the day beginning with its usual rhythms. But inside this room, something extraordinary had happened. Two friends had become something more, guided by moonlight and the gentle pressure of hands underwater. Whatever challenges waited for us beyond this moment, graduation, career decisions, the opinions of others, I knew we would face them together. Because some connections, once formed, run deeper than friendship, deeper than fear, deeper even than the blue waters that had brought us together on that perfect midnight swim. Total _char_count, 18,234.